Dear students, welcome you all to the course that is Circular Knitting Technology. Okay, so in the previous sessions we have discussed about the selection systems in the jacquard. So such as like the selection systems like the multi-butt type of needles, how the multi-butt type of needles are going to be selected, and what are the selection devices particularly to produce the complex designs. So complex designs nothing but like we have discussed about the mechanical jacquard and as well as we have discussed about the electronic means of selection of the needles. Okay, so how these needles are going to be selected. So to produce the complex designs and to produce the motifs in the fabric, or to produce the stripes patterns, irregular stripes patterns in the knitted fabric, so we are going to use the jacquard selection systems like we have discussed in the previous session, like the mechanical type of jacquard selection system. Particularly we have discussed about the slider type of movement and how these sliders and the pattern sliders are going to be used to select the particular type of needle to produce the different stitch effects. And as well as we have discussed about the pattern wheel. So we are going to use a pattern wheel to produce the motifs or to produce or to get different stitches in the knitted fabric structure. So along with that we have discussed again the electronic means of selection. Okay, so electronic means of needle selection, how this auto stripers is going to be worked in the knitting machines. So we have discussed these topics in the last sessions. So today's session we will discuss about after fabric formation. After the fabric formation, what are the different, how we are going to take down the fabric and how this take down fabric is going to be winded into the fabric roller or cloth roller. So as we have discussed in the unit 1 also, like a brief about the take up mechanism and the winding systems. Okay, so similarly like here also we'll see that what are the different types of take down mechanisms and the winding motions are available in the knitting machines. Okay, so let us start about the take down and the winding motions. Take down and the winding motions. So you can observe here the fabric takedown and the winding motion have been designed to facilitate stitch knockover and the fabric takedown procedures. So after stitch knockover, okay, knocking over nothing but the loop pulling, after the loop preparation, how these formed loops are going to be take down into the further mechanism or further procedure, that is after takedown of the fabric, after producing the fabric is going to be sent to the cloth winding mechanism, as well as there are 2-3 systems which are there to control the fabric tension and the crease formation in the fabric and winding and the cutting of the fabric in the length direction. So we will see all these things. Okay, so the takedown and winding functions are kept separated in order to allow smooth running of the machine and avoid possible fabric distortions. Okay, so we can see here the for why we are using takedown motions are because these takedown and winding motions are going to be used to take the fabric in smooth while running the machine in the smooth condition, as well as we are going to avoid the distortions or crease formations or uneven tension formations in the winding zone. Okay, so that is why this takedown as well as the winding motions are going to be used to wind the cloth into the cloth roller. Okay, so we'll see that one by one. That is, one is takedown motion separate and we have winding motion separate. So now you can see here the takedown motion. The takedown motion consisting of 2 or 3 rollers placed beneath the cylinder. So there is a cylinder, we have like a knitting zone where in the knitting zone, particularly the fabric is going to be manufactured. That is nothing but the loop formation is going to be occurred. So after the loop formation, the fabric is going to be taken beneath of the circular knitting machine. So while taking this, how this fabric is going to be taken? Because there is a small mechanism where we are going to use 2 to 3 rollers to take down the fabric or pull the fabric from the knitting zone. Pull the fabric, nothing but whatever the loops are formed in the knitting zone, we are going to take down into the bottom of the knitting machine. Okay, so in the simplest system configuration, that is two rollers are going to be used in that particular simplest system. So the fabric passes between the 2 rollers. That stretch, it may be rotational in the opposite direction. It is going to be rotated in the opposite direction. Okay, so the 2 rollers are going to be stretched. So these rollers are going to be rotated in opposite direction. Opposite directions, then only in between these 2 rollers the fabric is going to be take down into the cloth winding mechanism. Otherwise, if it is rotating both are same rotation, then there is no coming out, there is no, the fabric will not be going to get any tension or withdrawal cannot be occurred. So these 2 rollers are going to be rotated in opposite direction, so that in between these 2 rollers the fabric is going to be take down into the knitting machine. And you can see, anyway, the best system is a 3 roller takedown motion, which pulses the fabric without slipping and without exerting too much pressure. Okay, that could damage the fabric. Okay, so sometimes to get proper grip, what generally in the 2 roller system we are using is, we are going to get, or we are going to give the pressure in between the rollers. We are going to increase the pressure in between the rollers. So if we increase the pressure in between the rollers, then the grip is going to become more. Okay, but sometimes what will happen, because of the roller surface, or sometimes the rollers are going to be slipped above the fabric surface, so the fabric may become damaged. Okay, so that is why this 3 roller takedown motion is very best method to pull the fabric from the knitting zone, and it is going to be forwarded to the wind up mechanism. And you can see here, from a mechanical point of view, a takedown system can be either equipped with a swiveling arm or with a lever and spring mechanism. Okay, there are 2 mechanisms, like a swiveling arm. There is a swiveling arm, or there is a lever and the spring mechanism. There is a lever and the spring mechanism where these 2 rollers, in between these 2 rollers, we can adjust the pressure in between these 2 rollers. Okay, so this is how. And the modern takedown systems, so some of the systems like nowadays, whatever the takedown mechanisms are coming, so it was motorized, and latest models also incorporates an electronic control. Okay, so there is a completely electronic, means it is going to be controlled. What is the speed, what is the pressure in between these 2 rollers, so it can be controlled by electronic means. So nowadays the maximum, most of the knitting machines are going to equipped with this kind of mechanism. Okay, so this is the thing, and how you can observe that the image where you can see that the fabric is coming from the knitting zone, and it is going to be taken through the 3 roller system. There are fluted rollers. You can observe that there are flutes in the rollers, nothing but there are flutes above the surface. So the roller surface will not be smooth. So if it is smooth, then there is no grip in between the fabric and the roller. So the proper tension cannot able to apply onto the fabric. So withdrawal is going to maybe vary. So that is why we are going to use a fluted roller kind of thing, so that the grip in between the fabric and the roller is going to get more. So in between these 3 rollers, we can able to take the fabric very easily and with the proper tension. Okay, with proper tension. So that is the major thing. So you can observe that image particularly. Okay, and where you can observe that, like I told, there are like a motorized modern circular knitting machines where we are using the motorized or electronic means of control. So you can observe that there is a driving mechanism particularly which is going to be controlled by electronic means, you can observe in this image particularly. Okay, and so you can see that the take up and winding motions with fabric spreader. Okay, so there is in circular knitting machine we are going to produce the tubular fabric, right? So while taking down the fabric in between these two take up rollers, so the tubular fabric has to be folded. So nothing but it should be two layered tubular fabric which is going to be wind into the cloth roll. Now we have a fabric spreader to spread the fabric uniformly throughout the tube of the fabric. Okay, so that is why inside the tubular fabric we have a fabric spreader which is going to spread the fabric uniformly so that there should not be any crease formation or there should not be any kind of folds will be occur while the fabric is taking down through the takedown rollers. Okay, so after the particular tension we are going to flatten the fabric. In the tubular form itself it is going to be flattened and the fabric is going to be winded into the cloth winding mechanism, into the cloth roller. Okay, so this is how we are going to use the fabric spreader in the case of circular knitting machines. And you can see that there are special takedown systems which has been designed for variable needle bed machines. Variable needle bed machines, nothing but there are different types of fabric structures we are going to produce. So particularly so for example cylinder and dial case are there. So sometimes we can vary the loop length and we can vary the needle bed rotational speeds. Okay, so particularly these kind of systems we are going to use a special takedown mechanism. We are going to use the special takedown mechanism. So you can see that the variable needle beds machines, since these machines do not use the whole needle bed. Okay, sometimes what will happen, we are not going to use complete needle bed, we are going to use some parts of the needle bed also. Okay, so like rib structures or interlock structures, sometimes what will happen, if we want any gaps in between the wales, in that case we are going to use, or we are going to left out some of the needles which are there in the cylinder. So we'll get a different effect in the fabric structure. So in that case particularly we are going to use this kind of mechanism, that is special takedown systems for the variable needle bed machines. Okay, and the special takedown motion features independent rollers to adjust the tension during the knitting process. Independent rollers to adjust the tension during the knitting process and differentiate the tension between the central part of the cloth and the edges. Okay, so it is going to be compared and it is going to see that it is going to differentiate the tension between the central part of the cloth and the edges of the cloth, and accordingly it will work. Okay, so this is the special takedown motion which is going to be used in the circular knitting machines. And on the most recent machines it is possible to set up the 99 different tension values also. So the tension values on the fabric can be varied in different levels, that is up to 99 different tension levels or tension values can be controlled in the circular knitting machines. Okay, and you can see that the next one, after the takedown of the fabric from the knitting zone, the fabric is going to forward it into the cloth winding zone. So that is wind up motion, there is a winding motion. So the fabric winding motion is provided with a clutch type of drives. In this way, to grant a steady peripheral speed, the angular speed of the winding roller can be gradually reduced as the diameter of the fabric roller is increasing. Now, if you keep the roller speed or winding cloth roller speed, if you keep constant, then what will happen? Fabric diameter is going to increase step by step, layer by layer. So as per the diameter concern, so now the speed of the roller is going to should be reduced. So if you compare with the circumference of the fabric roller, and that is particularly you need to calculate the surface speed of the roller, So the roller diameter is going to be increased step by step. So in that case, what we required is we required to decrease the speed of the cloth winding roller. Okay. So if we are increasing the diameter of the fabric, nothing but cloth is winding into the cloth roller, slowly the diameter of the roller is increasing. So once the diameter is increasing, your surface speed is going to be increased. So your surface speed is increasing, so automatically your output, that is delivery from the takedown mechanism and the knitting zone is constant, right? So you need to keep the surface speed constant. To keep the surface speed constant, you need to reduce the speed of the cloth winding roller. So that is here I have given in the particular point. So you can see that the angular speed of the winding roller can be gradually reduced as the diameter of the fabric roller is increasing. Okay. So that is how we need to reduce the fabric. That is why we need to reduce the fabric roller or winding roller speed. Speed nothing but revolutions per minute. Speed nothing but revolutions per minute of the cloth winding roller. Okay. So we need to reduce when the cloth diameter is increasing. Cloth or fabric roller diameter is increasing. Okay. So fabric roller diameter is increasing. We need to reduce the revolutions per minute of the winding roller. So that you can maintain the uniform fabric withdrawal from the knitting zone as well as from the takedown mechanism. Okay. So that there should not be any stretch in the fabric. Okay. If you vary the tension of, if you vary the winding speed, so if you are not matching with the takedown mechanism speed, then the over stretch is going to be occur. So it is going to affect on the fabric properties. So that is why you need to control the winding motion speed. Okay. And you can observe that, so the clutch connection between the winding roller and the takedown motion rollers are, so you can see that there is a clutch drive, it is there, and from the clutch drive the roller is going to be rotated. So whenever the fabric is winded into the particular quantity, so whenever the fabric is winded into a particular quantity, that is like a kgs, or we are going to measure in the kgs or in the fabric length. Okay. Say for example, if you keep the length is the constant, so if you observe that after 200 meters of the fabric length, we need to cut the roller and we need to doff the roller. Nothing but the full roller, fabric roller is going to be taken out and the empty roller is going to be kept for the fabric winding. Okay. So this is how we are going to wind the fabric into the fabric winding roller. And you can observe this particular image, there is a open width winding motion. So open width winding motion, nothing but normally we are going to produce the tubular fabric in the circular knitting machine. So this tubular fabric has to be, sometimes for we are processing into the chemical processing unit, like in open width form the fabric is required. So in that case what we are doing is, the knitting machine itself, it is having a small mechanism, that is cutting or cutter or splitter we have. Okay. So nothing but simple cutting mechanism which is provided in the bottom side of the knitting machine, where particularly after the takedown rollers we have the splitting or cutting mechanism. So what it will do is, the tubular fabric is going to cut in the along the length direction of the fabric, so that the fabric becomes open width. Fabric becomes open width. So it is going to be, after cutting, the fabric becomes open width, and this fabric is going to be winded into the cloth roller. So in the open width form, we are winding into the cloth roller. So that is why the open width winding machine. So there is a small change in the dimensions of the winding mechanism, and as well as there are some mechanisms like the splitting or the cutting mechanism is going to be incorporated in the knitting machine, so that in the open width form we can wind the cloth into the cloth roller. Okay, so this is how we are going to wind into the fabric, particularly into the fabric roller, cloth roller. Okay, so this is how we are going to take down the fabric and winding in the fabric into the cloth roller. And particularly like this winding mechanism is going to be rotated along with the cylinder, so if the cylinder is rotating, if the cloth winding mechanism is not rotating, means so the spiral, like the twisting of fabric, can be done. So that is why along with the cylinder, if the cylinder is rotating, along with the cylinder, this cloth winding mechanism and the takedown mechanism, complete set is going to be rotated along with the cylinder. Okay, so rotatable takedown and the winding mechanisms are preferably, they are going to use in the circular knitting fabric production area. Okay, so these are the things related to the fabric takedown and the winding motions in the circular knitting technology. Okay, so in the next session we will discuss about the drives particularly which are going to be used in the circular knitting machine. Okay, so till then, thanks for listening. Bye.